The second part of today's lesson asks us to figure out which type of sampling is better. And I listed the different types of sampling up on top here. And a random sample, again, is when each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. And I underlined it because it's the one that you want to use. If you're trying to sample a certain number of people about a situation, this is the one you want to use, if at all possible. The next best one is the systematic sample. A member of the population is selected at random, and then others are selected using some sort of pattern, like every third one is selected, or every 50th one is selected, or something like that. And then convenience sample is not as good, but it's just a way of sampling, and it's the most available members of the population are chosen. So like it's if you go over to Safeway and you ask, well, do you like Safeway? And the people that are there would probably say yes, because they are shopping there. So that would be a convenience sample. It was easy to find people that shopped at Safeway. And self-selected sample, again, one that's not as good of giving you information about a topic, because members get to choose members of the population get to choose whether they want to respond to your survey or not. And so that's what we're looking for. We're trying to figure out which type of sampling method they're using, and then figuring out which one's the better one to go by. So looking at the information they're giving us here, we are asked here Mitchell checks the arrival time of the first 40 planes to land at the airport on June 1st, and his results, 92% are on time. Well, is this a random sample, a systematic sample, convenience, or self-selected? Definitely not self-selected, because the planes aren't choosing to be part of the sample, so it's not that. It's not really a systematic one, because he's not checking like every third plane. It's not random, because he's just selecting the first 40, and so this is called a convenience sample. And so with a convenience sample, they're not as reliable. So this one's a convenience sample, so I'll just write down convenience here. And looking at the next one, again, his results were 92% on time, but possibly it was good weather in the beginning on June 1st, but then maybe later on in the day a thunderstorm popped up and it wasn't as good of weather, so maybe some were not on time after that. Well, Jacinto checks the arrival time of every 50th flight. And so if he does every 50th, this is where we are doing it in a pattern. He's using a system to be able to select which ones he's going to look at. And so this is a systematic. And so systematic is definitely one of the better ones. So I underline the ones that are better. Random being the best, systematic being second best. Convenience and self-selected, not as good. So I would go with Jacinto's. And the reason I would do that is because he used a systematic sample, which is better, or maybe just more accurate than Mitchell's convenience sample. So moving on to the next one here, it says Florida surveys a random selection of 200 registered voters. You always want to see this word right here. When you're talking about a sample, if you see the word random, that means that you've got a good sample. When you see random, we'll go with that one. So this is a great one. Let's check out Marie's, though, here. Maria posts a survey on her homepage website. Well, is everybody going to check out Marie's website? And are they actually going to take the survey? They don't have to take the survey, so this is a self-selected. And so let's just check out what their results were. Flora had 55% planned to vote for Chang, and Marie, well, 82% planned to vote for Chang. So it must mean that Marie, people that look at her homepage obviously like Chang, and so that's why more voted for her. But you see the results were totally different. And so that's why we always want to go with this random, or we want to go with a systematic, like this one here where they're checking every 50th flight. And so when you see every so many number of flights or whatever they're dealing with in this case, or when you see random, those are ones that you want to go with. So the one that would be preferred, we'd want to use Flora's, because it was a random sample, which is preferred over Marie's self-selected sample. So definitely always go with the ones that are random or self-selected, and that's the key. So those are problems that you'll see on tonight's homework. Good luck.